There's a quiet power in the habits of highly intelligent women, habits that don't just shape their lives, but ripple out to inspire others. These women have learned that true intelligence is not about having all the answers, but about having the courage to embrace imperfection. First, they embrace imperfection with open arms. They've realized that striving for flawlessness is exhausting and isolating. Instead, they lean into authenticity, showing up as they are, messy and magnificent. It's this willingness to be seen, unpolished, and real that creates deeper connections and fosters true confidence. Second, they choose curiosity over judgment. Highly intelligent women ask better questions, not just of others, but of themselves. They replace assumptions with inquiry, transforming every conversation into a learning opportunity. This habit doesn't just expand their knowledge, it deepens their empathy. Intentional solitude is another powerful habit. They carve out quiet moments not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Time to reflect, recharge, and realign with their purpose. In a world that glorifies busyness, they've discovered that solitude is not loneliness. It's where they rediscover their strength. And then there's the art of setting boundaries with grace. Intelligent women have learned that a clear no is kinder than a resentful yes. They honor their limits without guilt, understanding that boundaries are not walls, but bridges to healthier relationships. Consistent learning is the thread that weaves through their lives. These women don't just absorb information, they apply it, adapt, and grow. They've built a habit of reading, listening, and engaging with perspectives that challenge their own. Lifelong growth isn't just something they do, it's who they are. Emotional agility is another hallmark. Rather than avoiding uncomfortable feelings, they allow themselves to experience them fully, extracting wisdom from every emotion. This ability to sit with discomfort without being overwhelmed by it is what makes them both strong and soft, a combination that's rare and remarkable. Purposeful action defines their days. Their choices align with their values, making their actions not just productive but meaningful. They move with intention, understanding that every yes must be backed by 1,000 thoughtful no's. And finally, they practice resilience through vulnerability. They've transformed challenges into stepping stones by sharing their struggles instead of hiding them. This willingness to be vulnerable doesn't weaken them, it fortifies them, turning adversity into a source of strength. Beloved, the habits of highly intelligent women are not about perfection, but about purpose. They are about showing up fully, brave, curious, and unafraid to grow. May we learn from their example, building habits that reflect the best of who we are and the fullness of who we're becoming. In a world that constantly pressures us to appear flawless, embracing imperfection is nothing short of a radical act of courage. Society celebrates curated versions of success, polished smiles, perfect bodies, and highlight reels of achievements. But beneath the surface, real life is messy, unpredictable, and far from perfect. Highly intelligent women have discovered that the pursuit of flawlessness is exhausting and, more importantly, isolating. They understand that true courage lies not in hiding their imperfections, but in embracing them fully, recognizing that authenticity is the foundation of meaningful connections and genuine confidence. Embracing imperfection begins with the willingness to be seen as you are, without filters or facades. This means showing up even when your voice shakes, sharing your ideas even when they're not fully formed, and stepping into opportunities even when you don't feel completely ready. Highly intelligent women have learned that authenticity is magnetic. It draws people in because it's real. When we dare to present ourselves as we truly are, flaws and all, we give others permission to do the same. This creates a space where trust can flourish, where vulnerability is not a weakness, but a bridge to deeper understanding and connection. But let's be honest, embracing imperfection is not easy. It requires unlearning years of conditioning that tell us our worth is tied to our performance, our appearance, or our ability to maintain control. Highly intelligent women confront this conditioning head on by practicing self-compassion. They speak to themselves with kindness, recognizing that mistakes are not evidence of inadequacy, but opportunities for growth. This shift in mindset is powerful because it transforms failure from something to fear into something to learn from. By treating themselves with the same grace they extend to others, they build resilience from the inside out. One of the most liberating aspects of embracing imperfection is the freedom it brings to pursue dreams without waiting for the right time or the perfect conditions. Highly intelligent women understand that waiting for perfection is a form of procrastination. They take bold, imperfect action, trusting that clarity comes through movement, not stagnation. This habit of acting despite imperfections cultivates a deep sense of self-trust, the kind that says, I may not have it all figured out, but I trust myself to learn and adapt along the way. It's this trust that empowers them to step into leadership roles, start businesses, or pursue passions that defy conventional paths. Moreover, embracing imperfection allows for genuine connection. When we hide our flaws, we also hide our humanity. Intelligent women share their struggles openly, not to seek sympathy, but to remind others that they're not alone. This authenticity creates an atmosphere where others feel safe to share their own stories, breaking down the walls of comparison and competition. In spaces where imperfection is embraced, empathy thrives. People stop pretending and start relating. And in a world that often feels disconnected, this is perhaps one of the greatest gifts we can offer each other. Beloved, embracing imperfection is an ongoing practice, a daily decision to show up as you are, not as you think you should be. It's about choosing self-acceptance over self-criticism and progress over perfection. When we make peace with our flaws, we unlock a deeper level of courage, the courage to live authentically, love wholeheartedly, and lead unapologetically. May we all find the strength to embrace our imperfections, for it is in them that our true beauty and brilliance lie. There is a quiet power in choosing curiosity over judgment, a power that transforms conversations, deepens relationships, and leads to a richer understanding of ourselves and the world around us. In a society quick to label and categorize, highly intelligent women have learned that the path to wisdom is paved not with assumptions, but with questions. They understand that judgment closes doors while curiosity flings them wide open, inviting new perspectives and possibilities. The habit of asking better questions is not just a communication skill, it's a mindset. One that shifts the focus from condemning what we don't understand to seeking to understand it more fully. Choosing curiosity means resisting the urge to jump to conclusions. It requires a pause, a moment to breathe and wonder instead of react. For highly intelligent women, this pause is powerful. When confronted with a differing opinion or behavior that seems perplexing, they ask questions like, what's the story behind this? Or what might I be missing here? These questions create space for empathy, turning potential conflicts into opportunities for connection. Curiosity doesn't demand agreement, but it does demand an open mind. It transforms criticism into inquiry, allowing us to explore the layers beneath a person's words or actions without rushing to judgment. This practice of asking better questions also extends inward. Highly intelligent women have a habit of questioning their own assumptions and beliefs with the same diligence they apply to others. They ask themselves, why do I feel this way? Or what if the opposite were true? This habit of self-inquiry prevents them from becoming prisoners of their own perspectives. It helps them grow beyond the limitations of past experiences and biases. By interrogating their own thoughts, they gain clarity and develop a level of self-awareness that is both rare and transformative. It's this self-awareness that enables them to navigate life's complexities with grace and integrity. Moreover, curiosity fosters innovation and creativity. Intelligent women understand that the best solutions rarely emerge from knowing all the answers, but from asking the right questions. They challenge the status quo by wondering, how might we do this differently? Or what if we tried another way? In the workplace, this mindset turns teams into think tanks where ideas flow freely and fear of judgment is replaced by a shared excitement for discovery. In their personal lives, this same curiosity leads to richer experiences, whether it's exploring new interests, cultures, or ways of thinking. The willingness to be curious keeps their minds fresh and their hearts open. There's also a profound humility in choosing curiosity over judgment. To ask questions is to admit that we don't have it all figured out, that there is always more to learn. Highly intelligent women embrace this humility, recognizing that true intelligence is not about having the last word, but about being a lifelong learner. They surround themselves with diverse voices, not just to validate their own views, but to challenge them. They listen not to respond, but to understand. This humility disarms defensiveness in others and creates an environment where honesty and authenticity can thrive. Beloved, when we choose curiosity over judgment, we not only change the way we interact with others, but also the way we interact with ourselves. We become kinder, more patient, and more willing to explore the unknown. Curiosity invites us to approach life with wonder instead of cynicism, to see challenges as puzzles rather than threats. May we cultivate this habit of asking better questions, for in doing so, we unlock deeper connections, greater wisdom, and a more compassionate way of being in the world. In a world that equates busyness with worth, the practice of intentional solitude is a revolutionary act of self-care. Highly intelligent women have discovered that solitude is not loneliness, but a sacred pause, a deliberate choice to step away from the noise and reconnect with their inner selves. This practice is about more than just being alone. It's about cultivating a space where clarity can emerge and wisdom can flourish. Intentional solitude allows them to listen not just to the world around them, but to the whispers of their own souls. In the quiet, they find strength, creativity, and the courage to move forward with purpose. Intentional solitude is a habit of reflection. Highly intelligent women carve out time to sit with their thoughts, to sift through the experiences of the day and extract lessons from them. This reflective practice helps them identify patterns, both empowering and limiting, that shape their actions. Without these quiet moments, life can become a series of reactions rather than intentional responses. In solitude, they ask themselves questions like, what am I really feeling? Or what does this situation require of me? These moments of introspection prevent them from being swept away by external demands and allow them to move through life with greater clarity and conviction. Beyond reflection, solitude is a source of creativity. The world's most profound ideas are often born in quiet moments, those gaps between doing and being. Highly intelligent women understand this and protect their solitude fiercely. They turn off notifications, step away from social media, and create environments that nurture deep thought. In these moments, their minds are free to wander without distraction, to connect dots that don't seem to relate, and to explore new perspectives without the pressure of immediate answers. This uninterrupted space is where innovation thrives and where the seeds of vision are planted. But solitude also demands courage. It requires facing not only our dreams, but our doubts, our wounds, and the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. Highly intelligent women do not shy away from this discomfort. They understand that true strength comes from befriending their shadows, from sitting with pain long enough to understand it instead of numbing it away. In the silence, they confront the questions that scare them. What am I avoiding? Or am I living in alignment with my values? It's through this courageous self-inquiry that they transform pain into wisdom and fear into action. Moreover, intentional solitude helps them maintain boundaries. In a world that constantly demands more time, more energy, more availability, solitude is a way of reclaiming power. It's a reminder that saying no to others sometimes means saying yes to yourself. Highly intelligent women schedule time to be alone not as an afterthought, but as a priority. They guard these moments fiercely because they know that when they return to the world, they do so with a fuller heart and a clearer mind. Solitude is not about escaping responsibilities. It's about returning to them more grounded and more capable. Beloved, there is a profound strength in the quiet moments we give ourselves. In solitude, we find not only rest, but revelation, not only peace, but power. May we embrace these moments of intentional solitude, not as a luxury, but as a necessity. For it is in the quiet that we remember who we are, realign with what matters most, and find the courage to pursue it wholeheartedly. May we all find strength in the silence, wisdom in the waiting, and clarity in the stillness. There is a profound freedom in the ability to say no without guilt, a freedom that highly intelligent women have learned to embrace with grace. In a world that often equates self-worth with self-sacrifice, setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable, even selfish. But the truth is, boundaries are not about building walls to keep others out. They are about creating a space where love, respect, and authenticity can thrive. When we set boundaries with grace, we communicate our needs without apology and honor our limits without resentment. This practice transforms relationships, preserves our energy, and empowers us to live in alignment with our values. Highly intelligent women understand that saying no is an act of self-respect. They recognize that every time they say yes to something that doesn't serve them, they are saying no to something that does. This awareness doesn't come naturally. It requires unlearning years of conditioning that tells women to be agreeable, accommodating, and available at all times. Setting boundaries with grace means giving yourself permission to prioritize your well-being without explaining or justifying your decisions. It's about saying, I can't commit to this right now, without feeling the need to add, because I have so much going on. This kind of unapologetic clarity is not rude, it's revolutionary. Boundaries also clarify relationships. When we communicate honestly about what we can and cannot do, we teach others how to treat us. Highly intelligent women have learned that unclear boundaries lead to misunderstandings, resentment, and burnout. They practice stating their needs calmly and clearly, whether it's asking for alone time, limiting after-hours work communication, or declining invitations that don't align with their priorities. This clarity doesn't just serve them, it serves the people around them by removing guesswork and fostering a culture of respect. Boundaries are not about pushing people away, but about inviting them to engage more authentically. But let's be honest, setting boundaries can feel deeply uncomfortable, especially if you're used to being a people pleaser. The guilt that creeps in after saying no can be overwhelming, making us question if we're being too harsh or too rigid. Highly intelligent women navigate this discomfort by reframing guilt as a sign of growth rather than wrongdoing. They remind themselves that guilt often shows up not because they've done something wrong, but because they're doing something different, something that honors their needs. By choosing self-compassion over self-criticism, they allow themselves to feel the guilt without letting it dictate their actions. Setting boundaries with grace also requires empathy, not just for others, but for ourselves. Highly intelligent women practice recognizing when they're stretched too thin and give themselves permission to rest without labeling it as laziness or failure. They understand that true empathy is not about ignoring their own needs to accommodate others, but about balancing compassion for others with compassion for themselves. When they say no, they do it kindly but firmly, trusting that those who truly value them will understand. This balance of empathy and assertiveness is what makes their boundaries both respectful and effective. Beloved, boundaries are not about shutting people out, but about creating space to show up fully and authentically. When we set boundaries with grace, we communicate that our time, energy, and well-being are valuable and that we are worthy of protection. May we learn to say no without guilt, to honor our limits without apology, and to trust that those who truly belong in our lives will not only accept our boundaries, but respect them. In doing so, we create relationships that are not only sustainable, but deeply fulfilling. There is a quiet brilliance in the habit of consistent learning, a brilliance that shines not from a place of knowing it all, but from a willingness to never stop discovering. Highly intelligent women have embraced lifelong growth not as a task to complete, but as a way of being. In a world that often rewards the appearance of expertise, they understand that true intelligence is not measured by how much you know, but by how willing you are to learn. This mindset transforms challenges into opportunities and mistakes into stepping stones. Consistent learning keeps the mind sharp, the heart open, and the spirit humble, reminding us that every day holds the potential for growth. Lifelong learning begins with curiosity, the kind that compels you to ask questions, seek new perspectives, and challenge your own beliefs. Highly intelligent women are insatiably curious, not just about the world around them, but about themselves. They understand that self-awareness is a form of wisdom, and that to grow, we must first be willing to learn about our own blind spots and biases. This habit of self-inquiry prevents them from becoming stagnant, encouraging them to evolve in both their personal and professional lives. They read widely, listen deeply, and surround themselves with voices that expand rather than echo their own. Curiosity is not just a habit, it's a way of navigating life with wonder instead of judgment. Consistent learning also requires humility, the willingness to admit what you don't know and to embrace being a beginner again and again. Highly intelligent women reject the notion that asking for help is a sign of weakness. They enroll in courses, seek mentors, and engage in conversations where they are not the most knowledgeable in the room. This humility is powerful because it creates a safe space for growth, one where making mistakes is not just expected, but embraced. By letting go of the need to appear competent at all times, they gain the freedom to explore new skills, perspectives, and paths without the weight of perfectionism. But let's be honest, consistent learning is not always comfortable. It requires time, energy, and most importantly, the willingness to be wrong. Highly intelligent women navigate this discomfort by viewing mistakes as information rather than evidence of inadequacy. When they encounter failure, they ask, "What can I learn from this?" rather than, "Why am I not good enough?" This mindset shifts the focus from self-judgment to self-improvement, transforming every setback into a stepping stone. They take notes, reflect, and adjust, understanding that growth is not a linear path, but a series of iterations, each one refining them a little more. Consistent learning also extends beyond books and formal education. Highly intelligent women learn through experiences, by traveling, volunteering, and stepping outside their comfort zones. They seek out diverse perspectives, recognizing that the most valuable lessons often come from the most unexpected places. This openness to experiential learning enriches their understanding of the world and deepens their empathy for others. It's one thing to read about different cultures or perspectives, it's another to experience them firsthand. By embracing both formal and informal learning, they build a wisdom that is both broad and deep, rooted not just in knowledge, but in lived experience. Beloved, the habit of lifelong growth is about more than acquiring skills or advancing careers. It's about becoming the fullest version of yourself. When we commit to consistent learning, we honor our potential, expand our horizons, and inspire those around us to do the same. May we all adopt this habit of lifelong growth, not as a means to an end, but as a journey without a finish line. One where every day offers a new opportunity to learn, to evolve, and to become. For in the end, it is not what we know, but who we become in the process of learning that truly matters. In a world that often urges us to suppress, ignore, or quickly move past our emotions, the practice of emotional agility is both radical and necessary. Highly intelligent women understand that true strength is not about avoiding difficult feelings, but about navigating them with wisdom and grace. Emotional agility is the ability to engage with our emotions, both the light and the dark, without being defined or derailed by them. It's about recognizing emotions as valuable data, not directives. When we practice emotional agility, we learn to pause, reflect, and respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. This practice not only deepens our self-awareness, but also empowers us to build more authentic relationships and lead with clarity. At the heart of emotional agility is the habit of accepting emotions without judgment. Highly intelligent women recognize that emotions, even the uncomfortable ones, serve a purpose. Fear signals potential danger, sadness can point to what we value, and anger can highlight where our boundaries have been crossed. Instead of labeling emotions as good or bad, they approach them with curiosity, asking questions like, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Or what unmet need is beneath this emotion? This mindset transforms emotions from obstacles into opportunities for insight and growth. Acceptance is not about resignation. It's about acknowledging what is true in the present moment so that we can move forward with greater clarity. Emotional agility also involves creating space between feeling and action. In moments of intense emotion, there is a powerful pause, a moment where we can choose how to respond. Highly intelligent women have cultivated the habit of leaning into this pause, using it to breathe, reflect, and assess. They understand that reacting in the heat of emotion often leads to regret, while responding with intention leads to resolution. This practice of pausing allows them to act in alignment with their values rather than being swept away by temporary feelings. It's a simple habit, but a profound one, because in that pause lies the power to rewrite the story, to choose a different ending. Another essential aspect of emotional agility is self-compassion. Highly intelligent women recognize that being harsh with themselves in moments of emotional struggle only deepens the pain. Instead, they practice speaking to themselves with the same kindness and understanding they would offer a friend. When they feel overwhelmed, they remind themselves that it's okay to struggle, that being human means sometimes feeling deeply and imperfectly. This self-compassion does not mean avoiding accountability. Rather, it creates a safe space for growth. When we treat ourselves with compassion, we become more resilient, more willing to learn from our mistakes instead of being paralyzed by them. Emotional agility also empowers them to navigate relationships with greater authenticity. When we suppress or ignore our feelings, they have a way of leaking out sideways through passive aggression, resentment, or emotional withdrawal. Highly intelligent women have learned that honesty about emotions, communicated with kindness, is the foundation of trust. They express their feelings directly using I statements that take ownership of their emotions without blaming others. For example, saying, I feel hurt when this happens, opens the door to understanding and resolution, whereas silence or blame only builds walls. Emotional agility is not about avoiding conflict, but about approaching it with the intention to understand and resolve. Beloved, emotional agility is the practice of moving through life with both heart and mind fully engaged, of honoring our emotions without being held captive by them. It's about embracing the full spectrum of what it means to be human, from joy to sorrow, fear to courage. When we navigate our emotions with wisdom, we build a life that is both meaningful and resilient, one where we are not afraid to feel deeply because we trust ourselves to move forward wisely. May we all cultivate this habit of emotional agility, for in doing so we find not only wisdom, but freedom. The freedom to respond, to grow, and to live wholeheartedly. There is a profound power in living with intention, a power that transforms ordinary actions into meaningful steps toward a life that truly reflects who we are. Highly intelligent women understand that the quality of our lives is shaped not by the sheer volume of tasks we complete, but by how closely our choices align with our core values. Purposeful action is about moving through life deliberately, making decisions that reflect our deepest beliefs rather than being swept along by habit or external expectations. When we align our actions with our values, we create a sense of fulfillment that no amount of achievement alone can provide. This alignment is not about perfection, but about making small, consistent choices that lead us closer to the life we want to live. At the heart of purposeful action is the clarity of values. Highly intelligent women take the time to define what truly matters to them, whether it's integrity, compassion, growth, or freedom. This clarity acts as a compass, guiding their decisions and helping them prioritize what is essential over what is merely urgent. Without this anchor, it's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, saying yes to things that drain us or pursuing goals that leave us feeling empty. By aligning their actions with their values, they ensure that even the smallest tasks contribute to a larger sense of purpose. It's not about doing more, but about doing what matters most. Purposeful action also requires the courage to say no. When we are clear about our values, it becomes easier to recognize which opportunities align with our path and which do not. Highly intelligent women have learned that every yes to something misaligned is a no to something that truly matters. They set boundaries not to isolate themselves, but to protect their energy for what is meaningful. Saying no with grace is an act of self-respect, a way of honoring the limited time and resources we have. It's about trusting that when we make space by releasing what doesn't serve us, we open the door for what does. But let's be honest, aligning actions with values is not always easy. It requires self-awareness, patience, and a willingness to course correct when we fall short. Highly intelligent women practice self-reflection as a way to stay aligned, regularly asking themselves questions like, does this choice reflect my values? Or am I moving closer to or further from the life I want to create? When they recognize that they've veered off course, they don't waste time on guilt or self-reproach. Instead, they adjust their actions with humility and resolve. This habit of continuous alignment prevents small compromises from turning into significant regrets. Purposeful action also invites us to redefine success. In a culture that often measures worth by productivity and external achievements, aligning choices with values is a revolutionary act. Highly intelligent women understand that success is not about checking off boxes, but about living in a way that feels congruent with who they are. They pursue careers, relationships, and goals not based on what looks good on paper, but on what feels right in their soul. This kind of success may not always be visible to others, but it brings a sense of peace that no accolade can match. When we define success by how closely our actions reflect our values, we free ourselves from the endless pursuit of more and find fulfillment in the present moment. Beloved, purposeful action is about living with intention, about making choices that reflect our truest selves, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient. When we align our actions with our values, we create a life that not only looks good from the outside, but feels right on the inside. May we all have the courage to live with purpose, the wisdom to know our values, and the strength to align our choices with them. For in doing so, we find not only a life of meaning, but a life of peace. There is a profound paradox at the heart of resilience. The strength to rise again is born not from avoiding our wounds, but from embracing them with courage and honesty. Highly intelligent women have discovered that true resilience is not about being unbreakable. It is about being willing to break open, to feel fully, and to heal intentionally. Vulnerability, the willingness to show up fully, imperfections and all, is not a weakness to overcome, but a path to deeper strength. When we dare to face our struggles with honesty, we transform them into sources of wisdom and growth. Resilience through vulnerability is about turning challenges into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks, about finding the courage to rebuild even when the world feels uncertain. At the heart of this resilience is the willingness to embrace imperfection. Highly intelligent women understand that perfectionism is a shield that keeps us from growing. When we refuse to acknowledge our struggles or pretend they don't exist, we miss the opportunity to learn from them. Vulnerability, on the other hand, invites us to be honest about our pain, our fears, and our limitations. This honesty creates the foundation for true growth because we cannot change what we refuse to acknowledge. By accepting their imperfections without judgment, they free themselves to learn, adapt, and emerge stronger on the other side. Resilience is not about never falling. It's about having the courage to get back up again and again. Vulnerability also transforms relationships. When we hide behind masks of invulnerability, we create walls instead of bridges. Highly intelligent women have learned that sharing their struggles openly, not indiscriminately, but with those who have earned their trust, fosters deeper connections. This openness invites others to do the same, creating spaces where authenticity can flourish. When we say, I don't have it all together, and that's okay, we give others permission to show up honestly, too. These authentic connections become sources of support and strength in times of difficulty, reminding us that we are never truly alone in our struggles. Resilience is not just about self-reliance, it's about building a community that helps us rise. But let's be honest, choosing vulnerability is not easy. It means risking rejection, disappointment, and criticism. Highly intelligent women navigate this discomfort by focusing on their values rather than seeking approval. They understand that the opinions of those who do not understand their journey cannot define their worth. When they share their struggles, it's not for validation, but for connection and growth. They remind themselves that vulnerability is not about oversharing or seeking sympathy. It's about being real, even when it's hard. This kind of courage redefines resilience, not as the absence of fear, but as the decision to act in spite of it. Resilience through vulnerability also involves embracing uncertainty. Challenges often come with a flood of unknowns, and the instinct to control every outcome can be overwhelming. Highly intelligent women practice surrender, not as an act of giving up, but as an act of trusting the process. They understand that uncertainty is not a problem to solve, but a reality to navigate. By accepting what they cannot control and focusing on what they can, such as their actions, attitudes, and responses, they find a steady ground to stand on amid chaos. This ability to embrace uncertainty without losing hope transforms setbacks into setups for growth. Beloved, resilience is not about avoiding pain, but about transforming it. When we choose to embrace our struggles with vulnerability, we discover a well of strength we didn't know we had. We learn that it's okay to fall apart as long as we're willing to rebuild, that it's okay to hurt as long as we're willing to heal. May we all have the courage to show up fully, to face our challenges honestly, and to rise again and again with hearts that are both strong and tender. For in embracing vulnerability, we discover that the cracks are not where we break, but where the light gets in.